Chapter ONE. The smell of cinnamon and aroma penetrates my nostrils as I was busy finishing my latest project. I looked up from my computer, to only see my college friend and boss Kamina Vasilios. She was the definition of beauty and brains. With long tanned legs, shiny blonde hair, and light green eyes, she got tons of requests from modeling agencies when we were in college and even after we graduated. They stopped sending her requests when they noticed that she was totally not interested in becoming a model. Instead, she chose the path of business. "Is that cinnamon roll?" I asked, pointing at the brown paper bag that she was holding. The smell of cinnamon was so strong that there's no doubt that it wasn't a cinnamon roll. "Damn it, how did you know?" she asked, defeated, handing me the brown paper bag and cup with coffee. "Hot, black, and sweet?" I queried, referring to the cup of coffee she just handed me. "Hot, black, and sweet," she repeated with a chuckle, as she took a seat in front of me. I opened the brown plastic bag and couldn't help but inhale the smell of fresh cinnamon. It smelled so good, just like the good old times in Barcelona. I shook my head. "Now is not the time to think about Barcelona. You don't need to overwork yourself, you know that, right?" Kamina said, taking a bite of her donut, leaving trails of sugar behind on her upper lip. "I'm just doing my job, Zimmy," I replied with a smile, as I took a sip of my coffee. "Delicious and refreshing. I know, but you don't have to skip lunchtime." "I don't skip lunchtime." "Well, I don't want you to eat in front of your computer. Go outside, get some fresh air, be healthy," she lectured, just like how my Aunt Lydia did when I was younger. "You sound like my Aunt Lydia," I laughed. "I don't care. By the way, how's your Aunt Lydia doing?" "She's doing really well." "And what about Milan?" "Milan is turning 6 next month." "Are you going to his birthday party?" I nodded. "Yes, I don't have a choice. I missed his birthday for the past 2 years." "Sweet. By the way, my brother is coming back in town today." "Flynn?" I asked, even though I knew she only had one brother. "Yes, I will ask him if I can borrow his yacht for the weekend. We will have so much fun." "Why was he out of town?" I asked curiously. "Oh, because his girlfriend was pregnant and she gave birth a week ago. Strange that he's coming back so early," Kamina noticed, frowning. "But then again, we haven't seen him since Christmas last year. I think he will just stay for a while and then go back to his wife and baby." I shrugged. I didn't really care about her brother. He was bad news. Flynn Vasilios, the CEO of Vasilios Global Real Estate, a multi-billion company. He was known as a womanizer, as well as the hottest CEO of America and Europe. With a perfect sculpted jawline, chiseled facial features, blonde hair, and piercing blue eyes, he was the dream man of every woman. I only saw him once. That was on the day me and Kamina graduated. "I'm surprised that my brother is here," Kamina had said. "Why?" I questioned. "He's always so busy. I didn't think he would make time for this." We were busy talking and finishing our lunch when someone just barged into my office. Flynn Vasilios. Speaking of the devil, he shall appear, dressed in a dark blue Armani suit, Jimmy Choo shoes, and a Rolex watch. He looked handsome and rich at the same time. His hair was tousled, his lips were in a thin line, and he was glaring angrily at me. "What the hell are you doing here?" he barked, looking viciously at me. I was taken aback by his sudden outburst, that I accidentally spilled my coffee on my desk. "Fuck." I cursed. I opened the first drawer on my desk to grab some tissues. "Flynn," Kamina yelled, also infuriated by Flynn's sudden outburst. "Don't talk to my employee like that." "She's your employee?" he asked, bewildered, his eyes following the movements I made. "Yes. And I don't tolerate you talking to my employee and friend like that." Kamina stood up, tapping angrily with her heels on the white tiles, waiting for Flynn to apologize. "I'm sorry," he apologized, crossing his arms tightly on his chest. "I thought you were someone else." "You saw her on graduation, Flynn," Kamina reminded him with a heavy sigh. "Really?" he asked, surprised. "Sorry, can't remember." I rolled my eyes. Of course he can't. He only remembers models and actresses. "How's with the baby?" Kamina asked curiously. "Can I see a picture?" Flynn's face became dreary when Kamina asked that question. He let out a bitter laugh. Baby? He simpered. There's no baby. What do you mean there's no baby? Did something happen? Camila stuttered, staring at her brother with wide eyes. Even I looked at him agape. What did he mean? Don't look at me like that. He huffed at the sight of his sister's facial expression. And you woman, what is your name again? Close your mouth. I closed my mouth immediately and glared at him. I'm just curious, I muttered resentful. Well, curiosity kills the cat, ever heard of TH? Camila interrupted her brother by clearing her throat loudly. I want to know what happened to the baby, Flynn. Am I a aunt or not? She asked, crossing her arms tightly over her chest, tilted one hip, and gave him a raised eyebrow. Of course, he said, the irritation clear in his voice. And no, you're not a aunt, because the baby was not mine to begin with. What? Camila and I exclaimed at the same time, our eyes turning big that they almost fell out of our sockets. Flynn didn't hear us anymore, because right after he told us the truth he walked out of my office. Oh shit. Camila cursed, as she also stormed out of my office. Flynn. I heard her yell from outside. Chapter. TWO. After I graduated I was supposed to go back to Barcelona, but things turned out differently. Camila took over her mother's business. Unique Cosmetics. They were in desperate need of a copywriter and Camila practically begged me to fill in that position temporarily. As time passed by, I enjoyed being a copywriter for Unique Cosmetics. It was also a well-paid job with a lot of benefits, so after my time to work there passed by, Camila gave me two options: working for Unique Cosmetics permanently or signing the resignation letter and go back to Barcelona. I chose for the first one, because I wanted to give Milan and my aunt a good life and I don't know if I would be able to do that when I was in Barcelona. Now, every month I sent half of my salary to Barcelona so my aunt can take care of herself and Milan. I can't believe you met the Flynn Vasilios. My best friend Raina couldn't believe her ears when I told her about the Flynn incident at my work. You're so lucky. She squealed, throwing a pillow at my face. Hey, I exclaimed, throwing the pillow back at her. What do you mean by lucky? He's nothing but a jerk. Don't talk about him like that, she yelled out, quite offended when I called Flynn a jerk. He's the hottest man on earth. I shook my head in despair. This girl is literally up in the ass of Flynn Vasilios, but then again who wouldn't? That's right me. I met Raina Indigo 4 years ago, when I first started college. She's a 25-year-old Brazilian, who studied the same course as I did. Currently she's working in Sephora. We shared the same dorm for 2 years and later on we shared the same apartment. She's the second person in America who knows about my life in Barcelona. The first one is Camila. Raina is the definition of a Brazilian beauty. Big booty, slim waist, gigantic breasts, and long, black shiny hair. If there's anything you can associate Raina with, it's glitter, diamonds, and all the sparkly stuff. Raina is quite picky about her clothes. Every single cloth, shoe, or jewelry she had, needed to have something sparkly or glittery on it, otherwise she would refuse to wear it. We all need a little sparkle in this shady world, she said, as she will flip her hair and roll her eyes. I always told her the name Raina suit her well. Raina means queen and queens like everything that sparkles, right? I'm so tired of Luca. He keeps calling me, but he broke my heart and I don't want to be heartbroken again by the same man, you know what I mean, Jill? Raina grabbed a pizza on the kitchen counter and took a big bite. Luca Rossi, son of Dante and Sofia Rossi, one of the richest family in Italy, attended the same college as Raina and I, but only he studied chemical engineering. The school we attended was a private Ivy League research university in Upper Manhattan. It was one of the world's most prestigious university. The acceptance rate was only 6% and the tuition fees were more than $50,000. Raina and I busted our asses off to get a fully funded scholarship, and we did. People like Luca and Camila, they didn't had any trouble applying to the university. They were loaded with money. The only thing they had to do was graduate from high school with flying colors. Raina and Luca had a relationship during junior year of college that didn't last longer than 6 months. During one of the frat parties, Raina caught Luca making out with some bimbo named Tiara or Tiana. I think you should forgive him. It was a long time ago. 2.5 years. Luca may be a changed man by now. No, she took a big bite of her pizza and looked at me with wide eyes. You're supposed to be that friend who doesn't like the idea of her best friend going back to her ex. I laughed heartily. Fine then, I cleared my throat and said in a serious voice, don't you dare go back to Luca, he is a man-whore and you deserve a gentleman for God's sake. I'm so happy you broke up with him, because I never liked that guy anyway. She laughed loudly as she opened a can of soda. That was rude, but I appreciate your bluntness. Thank you, I said laughing, making a small bow for her. The atmosphere at work changed dramatically after the whole Flynn incident. Camina was in a dull mood when she came to office. She even snapped at her personal assistant Claire, who was nothing but a sweetheart. Well, sometimes she could be really clumsy. Camina hadn't said anything to me since morning. She didn't even came by my office to say good morning like how she did every other day. Everyone at the office knew something had happened at home. Camina was a jolly, outgoing, and talkative girl. Everyone was surprised when she came into the office dressed like the Great Depression. She wore a long conservative dress that was 2 sizes too big for her and she tied her hair in a knot on top of her head. She was still pretty though, but knowing Camina, she would never wear something like that at home, let alone to work. When lunchtime came, I decided to grab some coffee and macarons for me and Camina. Claire, her personal assistant, told me that Camina refused to have breakfast and refused to come out of her office. She's drowning herself in work, Miss Malik. Claire cried out when I called her to my office asking her about Camina. When I knocked on her office door, I heard a loud groan followed with an even louder "Get out." That was my cue to come in. Camina's office was twice the size of mine. She was the CEO after all. She had a huge cherry desk in the middle of her office that fitted perfectly with the Dutch white color on her walls and her tiles. There was also a huge glass window behind her that had the perfect view of New York City. Furthermore, she had hung up some really cool paintings that must have cost a fortune and she had placed a cactus in one of the corners. Her room was pretty empty, but then again Camina was someone who liked to have space. Crowded places makes me anxious, she once told me when we were in college and she visited my room. My room was a mess. Something you want to get off your chest? I asked, handing her the coffee and macarons. She let out a heavy sigh. Flynn will move back to New York City. I didn't see anything wrong with Flynn moving back to New York City, but for Camina everything was wrong. It's a disaster, she cried out loud, covering her face with her hands. He will take the spotlight again, oh goodness, and all his scandals. She scorned when she mentioned scandals. Zimmy, it will not be that bad, I said, trying to soothe her. Not be that bad? She yelled out in disgust. Oh God, you don't know about all his nightly adventures. It's so disgusting to have caught my brother with Lana Rhoades doing some 50 Shades shit. My eyes widened in shock. Lana Rhoades, the most popular porn star. I didn't know Flynn was that desperate to satisfy his needs. I knew that he only banged actresses or models, but a porn star? A porn star? I choke out, looking starstruck at Camina. Yes. Oh goodness, I know what you're thinking. If that will ever leak out, he can lose his position as a CEO and my sales will suffer. I can't have him here right now, not when I will launch my eyeshadow palette in 2 months, she cried, banging her head on her desk. I don't think it will be that bad, you're just overreacting, Zimmy. I sighed. Even though I don't like Flynn, I don't think that he will do anything that can ruin Camina's image. Oh honey, you don't know anything about that boy. I love my brother, but hell, he's so irresponsible. Chapter THREE Flynn Vasilios POV, and that's why I decided to move back to New York. I announced at the dinner table. My mom had made steak that was a little bit overcooked and mac and cheese that didn't taste like mac and cheese at all. We didn't complain, because this was her first attempt of cooking in probably 20 years. Usually we had a cook, but today she called in sick. My parents were devastated when I told them about Brie Paloma, that little bitch. For 9 months she lied to me that the baby she carried was mine. I didn't believe her in the beginning, because we didn't do any rough stuff and I was using a condom. Somehow Brie convinced me that the